Monk, 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 monk. Good to see you, Monk. Glad you're here, man. I'm Captain Tommy Scoble, and you're on the lifeboat. So, how are you? Today is Monday. Monday is a rugged day. Do you know this? This is a true story. Monday is not a good day. It's a day that more people struggle with this day than any other day of the week, and pretty obvious reasons, right? We also the instances of people who dial 911 on Monday morning happen to be considerably higher than at other times, leading people to say that 80% of heart attacks take place on Monday. That is not a true statistic. I don't know where that came from, but you do have a lot of them that happen on Monday. Good morning, Lifeboat. Been missing morning, change jobs and getting adjusted. Well, Rachel, congratulations on changing jobs, and I hope the adjustment goes smoothly. I really do. Balake. Good to see you. Shimmy. Wally. How are you? Glad that you're here, Shimmy. So I didn't sleep well last night, people, at all. It was a bad night's sleep. However, it wasn't dream related. I'm doing better. I'm doing a little better on the dreams. It was a lower back thing. My lower back is just. I do not sit in this chair unless I'm doing the lifeboat. In fact, I don't usually sit if I'm not doing the lifeboat. I'm not. Hey, cat. I'm not much for sitting in a chair. It's something about that position just does not agree with me. It was one of the reasons I never took a bottom bunk in prison too, was because people who have bottom bunks sit on them all day long. If you have a top bunk, you're liable not to do that. And sitting is the new smoking or something like that. You've heard this, haven't you? Right. I'm not the first person to tell you that sitting is the new smoking. You must have heard this somewhere else. Shimmy is going through a similar with a new job and new schedule. Change is hard sometimes, but it is totally worth it. Shimmy, I got to agree with you. Kim, good to see you. Hugs to the kitty. See, I don't get hugs. I get the head nod, and then Squirrel gets the good stuff. Matt, I don't blame you. Squirrel's pretty darn special. That cat is amazing. If you could have seen me pulling cactus quills, spines, what do you call those? Stickers, the things that you get stuck with on a cactus.
Cactus needles.
There you go, cactus needles. If you could have seen me pulling, the standing desk, the Veridesk things, I'm able to do most of what I do either standing or squatting. Which probably sounds funny, but I do this squat thing. Maria, well, hello to you and to Nikos, your boyfriend. Good to see the both of you. Octopus waving. A lot of hands going on. A lot of hands. Kim Milan, good to see you. Okay, let's get this thing underway. Don't know how long this one's going to go, people. I really don't. We've got a big one coming up. It's going to be a good long one, and I'm going to be resting up for it because it's going to be coming shortly. Bach Buddy, good to see you. We're going to be doing a 24-hour live feed here on the Lifeboat. It is going to be 24 hours for freedom. Because it's more than we're more than an addiction channel. We really are. We're far more than an addiction channel, but we are a channel that about living your best life. I like the way that sounds. I really do. I am translator now. Perfect. I think they were supposed to do that for you, aren't they? Isn't there supposed to be some translator thing on the app? It's probably horrendous. You know what I mean? If they're translating me, they're probably having a really rugged time doing it because I don't use words the way that other people use words, right? Like I'm sure Kat and everything else are really screwing up anybody that's trying to listen to me from another country. And for that, I apologize. I'm tough to translate, I'm sure. Miss V says, aside from no sleep, I've been okay. See, that's not okay. That's not okay. The no sleep thing, people, is an issue. I am absolutely telling you the truth. It's an issue. You know, the good news is this. I'm struggling with sleep still. I'm not having the exact same dream. And that's good. I think that's good. I think it's good that I'm not having that dream anymore. But I'm that's not keeping me up. Right now, as a skier with blown knee, the squatting, not sitting is impressive. Uh, I spent so much time working on the squatting thing, Bach Buddy. Started while I was a skier. Um, I used to try to go 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and it was a to stretch out your hamstrings and your Achilles tendon. When I skied bumps when I was a mogul skier, it was a really big deal. But now, oh, I got you, Maria. Well, I'm glad that you're here. I really am. L-tryptophan equals melatonin or is greater than melatonin. What did I just see? That went by. Was that a greater than or less than sign? Okay. So tryptophan is greater than melatonin. I believe is what I'm looking at. The alligator eats the bigger one. I can honestly hear a teacher by the name of Scott Coulter telling me this. All those years ago. There's only about 3 people that are going to laugh at that, but they're going to laugh hard. Wow. Hey, Ree. Good to see you. Australia. Glad that you're here. Snotface. Pam Abernathy. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. All to prevent and keep balance. I agree with you. The acronym HALT is a good one. I agree with you. I truthfully do. Guilt is another big one that they don't put in there. Maybe G HALT would be good because guilt is massive. But hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If the trouble is, and I get emails from people that say to me that bring up HALT all the time and say, Tommy, if you're tired, you shouldn't do the show, period. If I took that advice, there wouldn't be a show, right? I have a sleep disorder that I've had forever, right? I've never been a person from a very young age, from about the age of 25. I have never slept right. I had an illness, and I never kind of bounced back from that illness the right way. And I have never been a person that got 8 hours of sleep, got up, attacked the day. That didn't even happen when I was doing dope. Like I'm not a guy that sleeps well. I wish that I were. However, if you've been on the boat for any length of time, anybody will tell you that my self-care, I have absolutely changed in so many ways. Sorry. You know what, Kelly? The fact that you're here and saying that out loud is really a good deal. Pam Abernathy says, I remember the alligators. That is how I was taught that, I believe, is what Scott said to us. Hey, Kelly, I'm glad that you're here and just talking about that. If you're here and you're talking about backsliding, then you're doing something right. Tryptophan is why everybody gets sleepy on Thanksgiving. Is always the thing that I heard, says Tim. Yes, absolutely. Tryptophan is the ingredient in turkey that knocks everybody the hell out. I think it probably has something to do also with the fact that we fill our stomachs to 2 to 3 times what the normal capacity of our stomach is, right? And then you feel like, oh my God, I can't move. And you end up laying down and instantly you fall asleep. And then people go, I think it must be that tryptophan. It's not the fact that you got 16 pounds of undigested food in your stomach, literally taking you down like a quaalude. It's that damn tryptophan. Because I eat turkey all year, right? It's not just on Thanksgiving. I eat turkey all the time, but it only seems to knock you out on Thanksgiving. Because you're eating like a jackwagon. Hey, do you see are you reading any comments, Johnny Scoville?
Johnny Scoville knows his stuff. I am.
Oh my guilt, distracted Tommy. I have to function with fatigue. Do you see Maria's comment? Me too, Tommy. Summer, no sleep.
Oh, what?
That's an autocorrect doing some funny stuff, and it reminds me of Nathan Dean.
Right.
Hearn. Uh, you know what, people? Last night on the lifeboat, if you didn't catch the boat, Kim, I agree with you. This is a great comment. Kim says, I think getting a good amount of sleep for you is a good goal. For me, 8 hours is a fantasy, but 4 hours of solid sleep is good. And it's a good goal to shoot for. I agree with you. I'd be, hey, Lydia Von Stretch Claw. Well, thank you for listening on this live. We're glad that you're here. Yeah, I'd take 4 hours. If I could get it consistently 4 hours, I think would be fine. If I could consistently do 4 hours every single day, I think I would probably be in really good shape. So for the people who said, oh man, you can't do a 24-hour live feed, I'm not taking 8 hours or 10 hours that I should have been asleep and doing a live feed, right? I'm losing 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours that I would have been sleeping. It's not really a huge difference. The difference would be that this thing will be on, right? And that's about it. I mean, I spend my day doing exactly what I would be doing if I turned on this thing for 24 hours. You're basically just going to be watching me doing what I'm doing anyway. That is really pretty much how I look at it anyway. What do you think? Anybody? I'm either tired or empty is why I eat late. You got to not eat late. That's got to stop. Eating late is no good, people. I've been through a nice dreamless period. Now that we are moving countries, I'm dreaming like crazy and I hate it. I'm so sorry for you. That wasn't asleep. Now I am sleeping. I get it. I see. For me, I go through these nightmares, and they're always um, they're always tied to heavy things that are going on in my life, right? I have tried. I have not tried CBN. I don't think. I thought of your journaling advice when I heard Mark Headley describe again how writing in his Church of Scientology story in his book ended the recurrent nightmares that he had been having for years. This is, if you're not putting pen to paper every single day, you are not going to live the life that you should be living. I say this all the time, and I mean it. It just absolutely is essential. Everybody hates moving is the worst. I did it after 20 some odd years in the same place. I left Nevada. It was a great move, and I'm so happy that I did it, but it sucked. Crochet for the win. You either fall asleep or you have holiday gifts to give away. That is damn genius. And I'll tell you something, crochet will knock you out. I am an absolute proponent of sitting down and crocheting like there's no tomorrow. It really will knock you out, and it's there's something zen about crochet. I don't know too many convicts that didn't do it. Unpredictable Tony, thank you, my friend. Looking good in green. Really looking good in green. Some people can pull it off, some people can't. Unpredictable Tony makes that look good. Yeah, I'm going to do the YouTube thing, people. Buckle up. I'm doing the YouTube thing. So do me a favor and hit that thumbs up, people. It really helps with the algorithm, and it pushes the lifeboat further out into deeper, darker waters, which is what our goal is, right? We are navigating a sea of addiction, trying to pick up people just like me that have fallen into it. I just wrote, oh no, thoughts and prayers going out, Misha. People, if you could keep Misha in your thoughts and prayers. Migraines are no joke. They're absolutely horrible. I haven't slept well since the age of 6. Thanks to morphine after surgery, I also have cerebral palsy. I am so sorry to hear this. I am so sorry to hear this, Sarah. Sleeping is, you know what? Nobody here sleeps well. This is, I bring it up a lot because it's the number one thing in my life. For me, very often it's a PTSD thing. I haven't had that nightmare for days, or at least the nightmare has changed dramatically enough where I can say that it's not the same nightmare. I'm doing better that way. I'm having lower back issues. That's kind of an issue. Stand for truth. I pray. So you got it. So as I was saying before I squirreled off, because I do that. Shimmy says, I sleep well, but only because I'm on pot. Shimmy, are you, do you use the weed for sleeping? Is that the main purpose of it, or is it, that's just a happy side effect? And I'd be curious to know if you're smoking it or if you're doing edibles. I know a lot of people now that are using liquid and like liquid cannabis products and edibles to help them sleep. And if you're one of those people, I'm super curious about your mornings. Are you do you wake up foggy as hell? Do you wake up feeling like just a happy side effect? Use it both ways. Okay, cool. I haven't smoked in a long time. And the time that I smoked was in prison, and that kind of made me. You know what? I take that back. I got high once here while helping people move. I ate some chocolate. I don't know if I told this story on the lifeboat, but I was helping somebody move out of that condominium, and I was working with my nephew, and I pulled out a chocolate bar out of the freezer because we're throwing all this stuff out. And I go, does chocolate go bad? You know what I mean? Like, this guy hadn't been in this house in a year. And somebody said, I was there with my nephew and one other person who said, no, I don't think chocolate goes bad. And I took a big old chunk of this chocolate, like way too big a chunk of this chocolate. I just started chewing it up, and I'm like, I swallowed about half it. I'm like, I think this one's bad. This does not taste right. My nephew came over, took a bite, and went, oh man, did you swallow that? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's weed, dude. I promise you. He's like, that's absolutely weed. That's what you're tasting. And I was like, oh no. And this was at a time, I can laugh about it now, but I was still on probation, and it scared the ever loving poop out of me. And I did not, I didn't have any fun at all. And the previous time before that was in prison, and it was Christmas Day, and a youngster that lived next door to me, a guy that owed me money, paid me off with dabs, this like waxy stuff. And I went around in circles, and I went to my next door neighbor, this young kid. I'm like, this guy's never going to pay me. If he gives me this dab crap, can I give it to you and get money out of it? Because I don't smoke. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I bring it over, and he's like, good Lord, how much money did he owe you? Because apparently he gave me a huge chunk of it, which, I ended up selling off and trading off and everything else. And at the very end, the kid comes back in and says, hey, I saved us one little ball of this. If you want it, just take one hit. Okay, idiot. And this is in prison, right? Worst environment in the world. If you're if the things about pot that make pot not fun, prison will make those things really not fun. You feel me? Really not fun. So we did the toilet paper roll thing, made a little pipe out of it. And one hit. I took one hit of that awful putty stuff, and just got ruinated. I looked around and was pretty sure that everybody that was wearing green wanted to put handcuffs on me and take me to the shoe. And everybody that wasn't wearing green wanted to hurt me. It was a fun time. I had about 8 hours of just stark paranoia in a prison. Good times. Yeah, it doesn't really work for me anymore, sadly. But I'm curious because I know people that say that when they edible stuff, as far as sleep, it really helps knock them out. My only concern is that I'm not able to get back up and be functional in any way. I start feeling that half a connection as opposed to a full connection. Did you see what I did there, Johnny Scoville? That was the Rutland mid sentence. I just went Rutland. Dabs are insane. I've done so much crap in my life. I sat head first on the couch. Thank God I knew enough to sit the knife I was cutting potatoes with first. That's funny. I sat head first on the couch. Yeah, I watched a guy on the predecessor of that stuff, on the early extracts that were done way back in the day. I watched a man turn green. Yeah, Crime Street says, I smoked in the joint. We would use the toilet to vent the smoke. Yep. Continue to hit flush and get down there. And yeah, my thing was like, I smoked cigarettes every time I could in prison. Because I had given up every habit. You know what I mean? There was nothing else that I had in life. I wasn't doing dope. I wasn't drinking anymore. Like I had given up everything in there. But if tobacco came through, I was on it. I felt like I had a chance to do something. And yeah, but I didn't do the toilet trick. I was my thing always was I kept 2 or 3 onions in my cell at all time. Toilet paper tube and some dryer sheets was how we did it as teenagers. A poof tube. We used to do a poof tube. We called it a clean air by Ronco, but it was the exact same thing. A poof tube. That is so funny. Jeremy Shelton says, nothing like a wake and bake. Preferably bacon cookies or a nice loaf of banana bread. Banana bread's lovely. Banana bread's lovely. I'm a fan. Recently, I have begun to believe that banana bread should have chocolate chip cookies in it. This is a new thing for me. But recently, I have had some banana bread that was laced, just completely laced with chocolate chip cookies, and absolutely life-changing because that's normally not how I had it. But now I'm a believer. Oh, you would empty the water out completely. Oh yeah, that's way too much effort, Crime Street. That is way too much effort. Yeah, we used to do that in when I was in Lewisburg. You're locked down 24/7, right? You get 5 hours out a week of yourself, and you're in cages and all that stuff. But so I ran a sports book, and I was on second floor in the J block, second floor. But I ran a sports book to the first floor, the third floor, and that's how you did all of your, like when we passed stamps and and things like that. It all had to go through the old toilets, and not a particularly fun exercise. Oh wait, I think I had advice from Snotface. Snotface says, Tommy, weed gummies do not have an effect on me. Waking up feeling fine. The other crap I was prescribed was awful, though. Maybe they will work for you. Weed gummies. I'm absolutely about trying those. If they would help me sleep through an entire evening, I would be all over it. And I know they sell them, but I need more education on it. I need to know. I mean, do they sell these things? Have I ever lived in the UK? I have not ever lived in the UK. If I pronounce words odd, I skied with a ton of Canadians. Yes, I do, Russ. They call them what? TROCHES, not gummies. Indica, not sativa, says Snotface. You know what? That is one of the few things that I do remember, and I will agree with you on. Right? I grew pot back before I stopped. In fact, you want me to date myself? I grew Granddaddy Perps, and I grew Jack Harar, and that was the weed of the year that year at the Cannabis Cup. But yeah, I find that if I do sativa, that my head runs in directions and it's not good, and I'm definitely not going to end up getting to sleep. But so these gummy things, what are we talking about for did you use Gray's Sports Almanac for my sports bets? Oh God, wouldn't that have been lovely? Wouldn't that have been lovely? No, I just so they can sell them legally. Yeah. Oh, I see. They can't call them gummies. Gotcha. I'd like to know what the milligrams are. I don't want here's what I want to happen, right? I honestly love the idea of eating a gummy, laying down, going to sleep, getting up, feeling good. That would be just fantastic. I took this for a really long time. Deandra Gore says there's an antidepressant from the 80s that helps with sleep and chronic pain called amitriptyline. In the United States, when that drug came out, and it is from the they may have recycled it, if that makes sense. I think amitriptyline may have been used for something else first, if I'm not mistaken. But it was under the name brand Elavil. 10 milligrams is good. Thank you, Lori. So Elavil is what they used to call the amitriptyline in, I think, 100 milligram and higher pills. They used to give out 100, 150. So Balake, I've tried the stuff that doesn't have any psychoactive ingredients in it and have not had a lot of success with the sleeping with that. But Kelly Gerling says, my brother grew weed on our roof, flat tile roofs in South Florida. Got caught by the Fort Lauderdale police PD helicopter. Bummer. You know what's funny is my mom had a school in Florida, and one day I was working, cleaning something. It was a lawn care kind of stuff, and I went around the back of the school and found 4 pot plants in big, huge buckets. Like this person really had delusions of grandeur in how big he thought this weed was going to get, because these pots were like the size of a car, but there were 4 of them back there, these huge pots, and 4 plants that might have been 6 or 7 feet tall, and just, I mean, they had produced more pollen. If there was a weed plant within, I don't know, half a hemisphere, it was going to be cross-pollinated by this stuff. It just had yellow pollen, just the pollen sacs at all. It was male and it all busted. But I was like, this is funny as crap. What are the odds? Somebody picks, our place to grow. Bo Beats says, Tommy, could you please explain what the term functioning user or functioning addict means? And is it a real thing or something users say to get family and friends off their back? It is something that users say to get family and friends off their back. No, I mean, there are functioning addicts. They're still addicted. Their lives are still miserable, but they function, right? I was not a functioning addict. I may have started that way. At the end, the things that I was doing to procure drugs were not, you could not define as being a functioning addict. I was stealing to get drugs, and that, or running guns or doing whatever I had to do to get high. That's not functioning. Normally, Bo, a functioning addict is someone that gets up and manages to go work a 40-hour-a-week job. I use Alan Ballantyne as the example, because if you go back and see the interviews I did with Alan managed to keep a job, a good paying job, and maintain a lifestyle that looked like he wasn't a user for decades, while he did unbelievable amounts of drugs. But he got up every single morning. He went to work. He paid his bills. He had a roof over his house. He wasn't breaking the law outside of the drugs itself. That's how most people describe a functioning addict or a functioning user. It doesn't make them. All it makes them is functioning. It means that they work more so that they can make more money, so that they can do more drugs, so that they can work harder, so that they can make more money. Like a silly commercial from the 80s with the guy running around in circles with a little 2-gram Coke bullet in his hand. Where's Valerie? She got a laugh out of that. Valerie always likes a good bullet reference. Oh, that's tough. That's really tough, Misha. Misha says, my hubby doesn't sleep for more than 3 hours now since he took chemo and radiation a few years back. He thinks I should keep the same schedule. It literally is killing me, I think. You know what? I get that. I get that. I know people that have been through the cancer thing. And apparently when you've done radiation therapy, your sleep is never the same. Snotface says, my current gummies are 10 milligrams THC and 3 milligrams CBN. I would start with 5 THC. What is the CBN stuff? Should I know what that is? I feel like I should know what that is. Johnny Scoville.
No idea.
No idea. Thank you, Snotface. But you know I'm making notes. Oh, no. Kelly Gerling says, to make matters worse, to add insult to injury on the flashing back to her brother and the cannabis grow on the roof. Mom worked at the Fort Lauderdale Police Department. Met my brother on the elevator on the way up to the 6th floor.
Wow.
Talk about uncome from. That is uncomfortable. Yeah, I can't imagine. Good God in heaven, I can't imagine. I knew a kid in high school who had, and you know what? I don't know if this is even, but this is just how you say it, isn't it? He had that Gary Coleman thing going on, right? What do you call that? The Emmanuel Lewis thing, right? Where you don't get full sized, right? In fact, you don't get even close to full sized. So this person was, I don't know. I don't even know if they reached 3 feet tall. He's not a very tall person, and good dude. We had a lot of fun with growing up. Had a great sense of humor. Sadly, one day someone thought it would be a really good idea to sell this kid some drugs. Right now, he smoked pot with us on the regular, but a friend of mine named Jimmy sold him some LSD, and I think just size-wise, it was not a good pairing. Didn't match up well. But I was in a Spanish class, and our Spanish teacher was a woman. The reason I point that out is because Johnny would have had a whole different image in my head if he had thought that we were talking about the same Spanish teacher, because we shared a teacher that was just really something. But this was that person's replacement, and this little person, I guess I could call him, we'll just call him Jay, right? But Jay leans over in his chair like this. And the teacher said, what are you doing? And he said, picking up my hand. And he was as serious as you could possibly be, right? He just was going to bend on over there and get his hand, which he had apparently dropped. And that made perfect sense to him. It did not make perfect sense to the teacher or anybody else in the room, right? At all. So she said, I'm sorry, explain that to me again. Jay, what are you doing? He said, picking up my hand. Like she's stupid, right? Like she's just not getting it. I'm picking up my hand. And she said, okay. And so he sits back up and she said, are you okay? And he said, yeah, I'm fine. So she turns around and starts writing on the board or whatever. And we're all looking at him doing this one. Oh, right. Neck and hand, dude. What are you doing? You're going to get caught, right? We're all trying to, I'm sure we're not helping either, right? Because as he's sparking, he's seeing people looking at him like this, right? Hey, stop, right? You're certainly not helping you calm down. But he went to it again. Leaned back over, picked up the hand, once again caught in the act of picking up his own hand. She says, I'm going to go and get the principal. So she leaves and we start, or to go get the nurse rather. She leaves and we start cueing him in. Jay, listen, what did you do today? And he said, this piece of paper I bought from Jimmy. It's a little piece of paper. You just eat it. I said, oh, no, this is so bad. I'm like, the nurse is coming down, bro. She's going to try to look at your eyes, everything else. You just got to tell her you don't feel good, right? Whatever. He's like, yeah, I got this. So the nurse comes in and says to him, are you okay? And he plays it like a champ. He's like, no, I'm feeling better. He said, I was messing around a little bit, probably acting stupid. She's like, looks at him, starts, feeling him, trying to get temperature, like, putting her hand on his head, and does mess your temperature up a little bit. She said, you're sure you're all right? Yes. She leaves the room. We're like, oh, man. He leans right over. Teacher says, what are you doing? He says, picking up my hand. Did you do any drugs today, Jay? He goes, just this paper I bought from Jimmy. And at that point, I'm sitting there, and it was that moment of uncomfortable that you were describing. His mom worked at the police department. She was a prison guard at the only prison in our city. And our city was so small. This didn't look like a prison. It's just a little concrete building. You could drive by it. I probably was 16 before I knew that people were locked up in it. It just did not look anything like that. And it didn't even look big enough to put 50 people in. But we had this teeny little prison, part of the prison system in the town that I grew up in. Crazy. But yeah, it was a bad day. Bad day for Jimmy, too. It didn't work out too well for the gentleman that sold it to him. Maria has a question. I want to ask something. I am on fentanyl patches. Pills are not legal here because of a surgery. I have in my ankles screws, etc. Because of stupid person who hit me with his bike. Are they dangerous? Fentanyl patches. Yes, they are dangerous. Now, if you do them exactly how they're telling you to do them, then they're not. They're great. Fentanyl is a fantastic drug. Now, I'm not a doctor, right? I'm a drug abuser, but I've done a ton of fentanyl. And the fentanyl that you're talking about is different than the fentanyl that's on the street. The stuff that comes in a patch and is put on a transdermal thing is alpha fentanyl, right? It is the real thing. It's what it is designed for, exactly what it is used for, right? Long-term pain management. And it's beautifully delivered through patches so that you get an even dose of fentanyl throughout an entire day. There are no spikes. And without spikes, addicts usually don't get as enthralled, right? We're there for the spike. We're there for the going straight up and the coming straight down and then going straight back up. So they're great until you start doing them the way that you're not supposed to. If you're cutting these things up and chewing on them, yeah, that's not good. And they're dangerous. Fentanyl can kill you. It is a super, super, super strong pain med, right? Way stronger than heroin. Way stronger than heroin. So, yeah, treat it with all kinds of respect. If you're doing it the way you're being told to do it, and nothing to worry about. If you're cutting those into 4 little corners and chewing on them, you have a drug problem. And then you have a serious drug problem with a serious drug, because fentanyl ain't no joke. And the real problem with fentanyl is there's nowhere to go, right? I mean, up until just recently. I guess now you could go to, they're going to keep making it stronger and stronger and stronger. You could go to the phytonidazines now, I guess. I spotted a small, well-trimmed little pot plant in the rose border of a small hospital where I worked. Patient I was working with also recognized. Young nursing director said, not pot, and tossed. All right, then. I'll tell you a funny, I don't know how we got on this, but I'll tell you a really funny pot story, because this is classic. But I went to Bermuda with my brother, Johnny. And as was often the case, we brought a little, I was going to say care package, but there was not much care about it. It was a drug kit, right? And we brought, some acid and some cocaine, some weed, right? Everything you need for a decent vacation back in the day. So we run out. And we fly back to the good old United States of America, and we're kind of miserable because we don't have anything, and we're not going to be able to get anything for a period of time because the time of day that we got back, and this is in a time when you couldn't just run out and get things as easy as you can get them today. Chi Chi, much love, Chi Chi. You quiet. So here's what happens. Here's what happens. We get home and we go for a walk, and up the street from our house, we had a sugar house. This is where people used to make maple syrup. And it was just an old, dilapidated building. It was falling down. But we had built a little loft in it. And by loft, I mean up in the rafters, we put about 10, 12 boards so that we could hide up there, is really what we did. And we would crawl up in there and get stoned. Sit up there, break up our weed, roll joints. And people who drove by couldn't see us, but you could always see out. It was a cool little spot. Now we're angry and want to kill everybody on the planet because we're sober and miserable and have been traveling all day. So we go for a walk up the street, and when we get there, hold on one second. No, Maria, yeah, if you're doing them, no, something, and if you're putting on more than you're supposed to, or you're putting one on a little early or whatever, I promise you that's taken into account by the manufacturer. What your friend's doing is stupid. You're right. Your friend who does those things, that's stupid. So as we go walking up in there, we're just walking by and we're complaining and we're kibitzing back and forth about who might be able to get weed first. Who can you call, kind of a thing, right? And Johnny says, "Look at that." And I said, "What are we looking at?" And he's pointing, and I'm like, what am I looking at? And he reaches in, and there was a weed plant that had grown 8 inches, 10 inches, maybe about that long, right? Just one stalk that grew up, and it had a cola bud on the top of it that might have been about that big, right? Just a little size of your thumb. Somehow, like the weed seeds that we had thrown down, one of them had grown, and it had grown into one bud, and we had never seen it. We had never touched it. We had never looked at it. It had grown. It had died. This is after Thanksgiving, and was dried out on the stalk, which is just absolutely ridiculous, right? And we just snapped it off, right? Put it into a pipe and smoked it, and we truthfully had thought perhaps we had, this was a miracle of some sort. It was already,
I still say
it was, Johnny says it still was a miracle. It was dried out and everything, right? It was ready to go. My grandfather bought my 16-year-old. So I'm sorry. This has got to get put up there. Now, how often do you hear a story like this? This is just, you don't get this any other place, people. This is a Monday morning on the lifeboat. My grandfather bought my 16-year-old grandmother from a Thessalonica marriage broker.
that old chestnut.
Please tell me somebody heard that. Johnny Scoville. Oh, that old chestnut. Like, who hasn't heard that story 4 or 5 times?
Wow.
A Thessaloniki marriage broker. What does a 16-year-old grandmother from a Thessaloniki marriage broker go for? Is this a cash transaction, or was there livestock involved? Right? Because doesn't that sound like something there would be livestock involved? From Thessalonica. That amazing. Chi Chi says, don't forget to hit the like and thumbs up, everybody. And you know what? You better do what Chi Chi says. Mean it. Better do what Chi Chi says. Because we are very fond of Chi Chi here. Kathy, good to see you. Jeremy Shelton has recently been thinking about opening a bakery. Hear him out. What if he sold muffins, but just the tops? Here's where you're going to run into problems with that, because it's a great idea. It is. The trouble is going to be, where then are you going to get rid of all of the stalks? Huh?
The muffin bottoms.
The muffin bottoms, the stalks. Where do you put them? Because you're gonna have a more difficult time getting rid of them than you think. And if your first go-to was, well, we'll just give them away, I assure you that's not gonna work. You're gonna have very angry people. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? You can use them to make little cakes. See, Chi-Chi's a thinker. I've been there, Johnny, for I can't tell you how long. Bo Beat says I used to love ecstasy back in the day, in the 80s, and dance at the warehouse races in Vancouver. Raves, there you go. That makes more sense. The warehouse raves in Vancouver. I have been to Vancouver a lot over the years. Vancouver was a great party town back in the day. And the 80s was a very unusual time for ecstasy in the U.S. There was a lot of places that it was still legal. It was flying under the radar still. And so there was a lot of people using it and experimenting with it and everything else. I know that we certainly went through the Scoville brothers certainly went through a period of time where we did several a day for a long time. Or at least Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights and Sunday nights. Well, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to be sure. 3 days a week for a long, long time. But they were legal. Where are you going, cat? Come here. Get back here. She has just not been very cooperative. Come here. Come here. What is wrong with you, squirrel? Sorry, people. It's a cat crisis. You know what I mean? A lot of people here. Oh, your cat could not be neutered? Okay. I'm sorry to hear that, but hopefully next week it'll go off without a hitch. Bo Beats, that's your hometown, huh? Vancouver was a great town. I know that right now everywhere. MDMA make for a winning team when playing foosball back in the late 70s and early 80s. See, Annette knew how to play a solid foosball game, huh? Sparking. You got a good morning, Johnny. Never, ever miss a good morning, Johnny. Seinfeld. Yes. Mama doesn't like foosball. Good reference. Good reference. Mama doesn't like foosball. Yeah. You know, those were films that had to grow on me over time. I'm not kidding. I hated those films so much when they first came out. Hated them. Waterboy. Most of those movies where he just acted like an idiot, I just did not like at all when they first came out. But over time, maybe I just got dumb. Maria, do you use Windex for everything? I do. My parents did. Gets all stains up from counters. Come here. Come on. You were thinking about it. She was thinking about jumping up here. You kids and your foosball. That old chestnut. Here we go. That was great. By the way, look at what I got. Yeah, after I got the... I did love Billy Madison too. That was definitely a good flick. You know what did it for me, though, in Billy Madison? I'd be lying if I didn't say this out loud, but I really had a thing for Billy Madison's teacher, the one that married the tennis player, Pete Sampras' wife. Yeah, Mrs. Pete Sampras. I think Johnny said it best. Nothing is better than some high-quality H2O. Yes. For shame. You see this? I'm being chastised by Snotface. It's never happened before. This is a first official Snotface chastising of the captain. For shame. I love Adam Sandler. He's hilarious. And he brought all of his friends with him for the ride. As I said, I have come to appreciate all of those films. I just really didn't like them at all when they first came out. And here's the other thing. Snotface, I got to do it to you. Have you ever noticed that you've only seen one side of the man's face? That drives me nuts. Like, this is it.
Now that you know it,
right here.
you won't ever unsee it.
See this? If I did the lifeboat like this at all times, and this is all you were going to see, eventually you'd be like, what's going on with the other side of Johnny's face? Right? Why is he staring at his brother? Something's not right, right? If I stared off into the distance for half of the show, but they do not film him from one side, and it's only over a little earlobe issue. Apparently, he had a hanging earring at one time, and it got yanked out, and he has a little lobe damage. You'd think with the money the guy made, he could probably get that thing touched up. That probably has something to do with it too, Snotface. I think that I was talking with Johnny the other day about movies of the 80s, and we were talking about like Stripes and all of all of those movies that came out around that same time. The John Candy films and the Hughes movies. But to me, those are the most classic films ever, but it's probably because they're the films I grew up with, right? It's probably because everybody feels that way, I think, about the films of their youth, because they're just were way more important. Movies were an important thing when you were growing up, like what was coming to town and what was going to be at the theater. All of those things were kind of important. Are we going to lay down, Squirrel, or is this just the never ending? So I bought some catnip in a spray, which because obviously I don't have enough drugs for my cat. I needed to get her a little more. The spray stuff, though, is the business. When I first put it on, I thought it didn't work. I thought it did nothing. As it turns out, you have to let the stuff dry out. My favorite Adam Sandler movie is I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. I don't know that I saw that one. As far as silly, stupid humor goes, my favorite silly, stupid humor is always, you're right, Annette. I'm not joking. She does know it's the end of the show. Windex is a cleaner used for cleaning windows. It's blue, comes in a spray bottle. Drop Dead Fred was a good film. I actually like that. Police Academy 4 with Steve Guttenberg and Michael Winslow were the Adam Sandler of the 80s. Interesting. Huh? Interesting. The Police Academy films. Remember the guy that did the sound effects? Tell me he wasn't ahead of his time.
He's still ahead of his time.
Windex is used for killing flies. There you go. What happened with the catnip? Well, Darcy, I have taken to hosing down all of the cat toys that had catnip on them and then sort of went bunk. So I hose these things down, right? They're soaking wet, basically. Like I really got into it. And I go over and I bring them near the cat, and the cat was like, yeah, nothing. This is stupid. Well, why did you carry me into the room? It was that kind of a look and that kind of an attitude. And the next thing you know, I forget about it. I leave. I go about my day. And then later on, that stuff dried out. And when I walked back into the room, the cat was, what's the proper term? Really using some catnip. She was rolling around on this stuff in a way that I've never seen a squirrel go after it. She was pretty fond of it. The reason I wanted it in the first place was actually to spray the cat basket. If I can keep a little bit of nip on the cat basket, then I got a better chance of her being here when I'm talking. Airplane is absolutely that genre is just the best. It really is. And anyone that says that there's anything better in terms of slapstick funny, I would say, surely you jest. See what I did there? Did you see what I did there, Johnny? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Great movie. Bach Buddy came in. He was there for the Don't Call Me Shirley. Yep, so was Valerie. Wonder what would happen to a real squirrel if squirrel gave them catnip. Interesting. I don't think we really have them here. What we have here is different. We have, I haven't seen like squirrels per se, but I have seen a lot of, what do you call it? Prairie dogs. Jeremy Shelton says, stewardess, it's okay. I could speak jive. Yeah? See a stone cold Lakabudiak? Lay him down or smack him, flack him. A-Name says, I picked a hell of a time to quit sniffing glue. Awesome. Such great references. I was today years old when I found out I could put my computer screen on night mode. Cuts the blue light and I sleep better.
Could turn it off. I had a crazy time.
You're not very bright, are you? Johnny Scoville. I mean, I love the guy and he can eat hot things. I mean, forget about it. Imagine a paranoid squirrel, cat, dog gone scary. Yeah, that's all bad. That is all bad. Saturday. Saturday night's all right. You look a little crispy right now, Squirrel. She looks like she might have been partaking a little earlier. Squirrel gets all hyped up, chases around things that don't exist, gets that look on her face like, I have to be in the other room right now. You know what I mean? Like the years go back. Right now, I need to be in another room. Don't know why, but I got to be in that other room. The years go back. She gets the zoomies, and all of a sudden it's like the cartoons where one leg goes up. There's just a puff of smoke and the cat's gone. What is the age difference between you and Johnny? Johnny is 27 years older than I am, give or take. 4 years. Rick Smith says, dang, Captain, that was good. Love that jive talk. That was right from the film. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I nailed that. I have an odd memory. You might want to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure I nailed that one. Yeah. See a stone cold Lakabudiak? Lay him down or smack him, flack him. The snozberries taste like snozberries, and they should. I have a long-haired girl tortie, and I get it. You know what? I found out that I guess is redundant, right? Because all torties are girls, although not all girls are torties. That would be great. But if all girl cats were torties, that would be awesome. But all torties are girls because apparently the three color cat thing. All right, everyone. You know what? I literally have got Johnny Scoville giving me the, hey, man, it's the top of the hour. We actually do have to plan something today, and there's some transportation involved. Big things, people. There's doings to be dones, I think. All right. Miss V, have a good rest. All right. And you know what, people? For the fact that no milk will ever be our milk. It's true. Considering, yes, all calicos are girls too. 3-colored cats tend to be females. Right? If I can make the live tonight, I'm going to ask a couple of questions about AA. Yeah, absolutely. We'd love that, May. Please make the live tonight, 5 o'clock. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and this is a cat in a basket. Absolutely. The greatest cat in the basket ever, too. She is a good animal, aren't you? All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. God bless. Bye-bye.